Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to answer a question I get all the time, which is how do you deal with repeating parts in songs? Say there's a chorus that comes back multiple times, or there's just a part that repeats. Do you copy the keyframes? Do you make a new composition? The answer is there's really no right or wrong way to do it, but I'm just going to show you a couple different ways that you could approach it. I'm going to make something from scratch here so you can just follow along. I'm not going to use a real song. I'm just going to kind of make it up as I go, and I'm going to try to keep it simple as possible. So you can watch me build this, and you can learn a few things along the way. So in Photoshop, I just whipped up this grid here. It doesn't look like anything special right now, but I think we'll make something pretty cool with it. Some sort of like 80s retro, gent Ryan Gosling type thing. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to throw this into After Effects. I'm going to make a new composition, just keeping it at 15 seconds for now. Okay. I got two views on here. I'm just going to switch back to one for now. I'm going to go Layer, New Camera, 35 mil seems good. Camera 1, okay. All right, so I'm just going to start by putting together a little chorus section graphic thing. So we're going to drag this grid that I made in. I'm going to turn it onto a 3D layer and turn the blur on as well. I'm going to click A for anchor, and I'm going to set it back to the start by pressing 0. There we go. So I'm going to rotate it as well on the x-axis, minus 90 degrees. And I'm just going to duplicate this grid by pressing Command D on Mac. And I'm just going to rename this one Grid Top. And I'm going to rename this one Grid Bottom. Okay, so I'm also going to click P on the camera, and I'm going to move it back to about minus 8,000. Now, I'm going to press S on both of these, and I'm going to unlink them, and I'm going to scale them up quite a bit, about almost, let's say 250. You can't really see what I'm doing. It would make more sense probably to press P on both of these first and drag the bottom grid down and drag the top grid up. There. Now we can kind of see what we're making a little bit. So I'm also just going to duplicate the top one. I'm going to rename it Side 1. I'm going to hit Rotate, and I'm going to rotate the Y by 90. And I'm going to put this one over here. They can sort of intersect. It doesn't matter. It's supposed to look all weird and futuristic anyways. Put it back like that. And I'm just going to duplicate this, and it'll already be called Side 2. And I can move this one back onto this side. Something like that. Now we got this weird grid world thing. I'm also going to add some lighting in just to make it look a little cooler. So I'm going to add a spotlight in for now. I'm going to switch back to my 2-camera view so I can see what I'm doing here. On this side, I'm going to switch it to the viewing it from the left. And I'm going to click on this light. And on the Z-axis, I'm going to move the light back a bit. And I'm going to shine it down at the floor. Now I'll switch back to the front angle. And maybe I can also just kind of have it shine on the sides a little bit too. Like that. And I'm just going to duplicate this light. And on the second light, I'm going to do the same thing, but just kind of light up another side of it. Like that. I'm going to switch to the front. I'm already on the front. I'm going to switch to the left. There we go. And I'm just going to point this up. Trying to hit the roof a bit there. There we go. So we'll switch back to our one view. So now you can see there's some stuff kind of lit up here. I'm just going to go to the lighting options on both of these and turn up the intensity a little bit so they're a little brighter. And I'm going to make the cone angle spread a little further. And I'm going to do this on both lights. Like that. And like that. Okay, and now I'm going to add one more light because lights are cool, but I'm going to use an ambient light. And I'm going to add a little bit of pink just to give it a bit of more of a retro vibe, like that. Now it already looks pretty sweet, but I'm going to turn the lighting down just a touch on this one, like that. Okay, so I'm also going to add some expressions to the camera right away so we can bring this thing to life. So I'm going to press Alt Option and click on position. I'm going to add a wiggle expression to the position. You can see it moving around now. I'm going to add a wiggle expression to point of interest. This one will be a little less intense. And I'm also going to add a wiggle expression to the Z rotation, just so it rocks back and forth a bit. There we go. So now we've got this crazy grid world here. Just like that. There's a few other tricks. You can add the wiggle expression to a lot of things. Like for example, this light here, we could add a wiggle expression to the intensity, and we could have it sort of flashing by adding a really high wiggle. And you'll see it sort of flashes like that. So, just cool things you could think about doing. One more thing. I'm not going to go too crazy here because I haven't even really touched on the repeating parts section yet. But I just want to add in some particles because I just can't help myself. So I'm just using Trapcode Particular. It's a really cool plugin. Definitely look into getting it. I'll just make this really quick here just in case you don't have it. Like I said, this isn't vital to the video by any means. It's just a cool effect I'm adding in and nothing more. There, and I'm just going to turn on the motion blur. Okay, and I'm just going to put this back. There. So you might not actually be able to see these particles. Sometimes you might not want a layer affected by the lighting. So if you go to, where is it here? Okay, well, apparently, like in some of them here, like on the grid, if you go to material options, you can actually turn off if it accepts lighting or not. So it's really your call. So that looks pretty cool. All right, so let's get to the point of this, which was repeating choruses. So I'm just going to add in some text, and I'm going to animate it a little bit. So lyrics, I'm going to pick just a different font. I got a whole bunch here. This is sort of futuristic thing. Okay, just going to do that. All right. So I'm also just going to turn this onto a 3D layer. You'll see what I'm talking about here. So these layers are going to be affected by the lights. I'm also, remember the camera is pulled back really far. So I want to bring the text a lot closer to the camera, about 5600, let's say for now. We can bring it out even more. You'll see as I bring it out, there we go. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. If we actually want, we can go down to material options and we can turn the lights off, and then we just don't have to worry about it. They'll be brightly lit every time. So I also want to put this anchor in a different spot. I'm going to put it at the very top. I'm just going to have the words kind of swing down. I also want to try, if I right click, go to blending mode overlay. Might make a cool effect where the grids are just going to go through the words like that. So I guess for now, we'll just do a few words, and the lyrics for this song, the chorus, are going to be lyrics are fun. So we'll animate that. So I'm going to just do a little, not that one. Just going to make it flop down. And it's going to go down and back a bit. And then swing into place like that. And I'm also just going to right click on these keyframes to make them easy ease. It just makes a nice, more smooth transition. There we go. So lyrics. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to say R. And then I'm going to duplicate that one. And I'm going to say, what did I say? Fun. There we go. So that's the chorus that repeats. It's deep. It's meaningful. It's to the point. So I'm just going to pull these ones back so they all start at different times because that's how they'd come in a song. There we go. So that's pretty easy. But I'm also going to add a few camera movements in just to really touch on how you repeat things here. So I'm going to have it. So I'm going to push these lyrics back a little bit. And I'm going to have the camera start here. And I'm going to set a keyframe for position, and I'm going to set a keyframe for point of interest. Now I'm going to hit U on the camera. I'm also going to right select these and go to Easy Ease, so we start them off this way. So it's going to start here. Now as this word comes in, we're going to zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to go closer, bringing it in on the Z-axis. I could also either change the position this way, or I could just switch the way the camera's pointing and look up at lyrics. But I'm going to do a little bit of both. So I'm going to pull it over like that. I'm going to look up like that. And then I'm going to copy these keyframes because we want it to hold in this spot. So if you copy and paste them here, it's going to hold that position through this. And then here I'm going to jump down. I'm going to get even closer to the word R. So I'm going to go like that. Move it around a bit. In like that. Okay. And I'm going to hold on it there for a sec. And then as soon as the last word comes in, I'm going to copy these original first keyframes. And it's going to go back to its starting position. All right. So let's RAM preview this. Okay. All right, so there we go. That's pretty cool looking. And so here's the thing. I'm going to show you guys. Let's say this part has ended now, but we want to come back to it later. So for now, I'm just going to do a little quick fade out on these words. And then let's say, you know, the camera has flown past all this stuff. And now, say like we've moved forward down here. And, you know, at this point, we've done a rotation. So it's like, you know, come in and spun around. And let's say all this other stuff has gone in. And now we're later on in the timeline. And we have to come back to this chorus again. One way to do it, which is pretty... it seems pretty simple, but there can be complications to it. But you can essentially click on the lyrics and duplicate them by pressing Command D, and it'll make them all again. And you can just bring them up and pull them back to the start, or wherever, sorry, they're supposed to start. And then we can go to our camera, and we'll just want to sort of make sure that we have punched in keyframes for where everything left off last. And now I'm going to select all these original keyframes we made and line it up. So this first one starts right when the first word comes in here. So I'm going to copy and paste them to start right there. So if I drag these ones back here, you'll see now over here, it's going to do the exact same thing again. Obviously, it'll get a little more complicated the more stuff you have going on. But you can see how copying and pasting and, you know, a bunch of stuff goes on in between. It's fairly straightforward to get back to the same place. Another approach, if you wanted to, was we could just do, let's say this, lyrics are fun, zoom, there we go. Let's just say that's our chorus composition. So I'm going to trim this. So all it is this little thing. Okay, and I'm going to rename this chorus comp. I'm also going to drag in now this reveal footage here. Okay. And I'm going to make a new composition. And let's say this is like my verse or whatever. So I'm going to do a similar thing. It'll look a little different. I mean, it depends what you want, really. If you want it to have different themes or not. Because if not, you could also just duplicate this, the chorus comp. We'll rename this one verse comp 2. Okay. And now we'll delete all this stuff. I'm going to keep one actually just so I can put other lyrics in. Okay, so let's get rid of all these camera moves. I'm also going to open the composition, make it last longer, like 15 seconds again, because I trimmed it. And we'll just want to go here and do all this again. Drag it out. Drag it out. All right. So this one we're going to say is our verse. And I'm going to have the camera starting, in here. And then we'll put this back to about 2500 like that. And this will be, verse. The lyrics will go verse. So pretty cool lyrics. All right. So let's say we got this and, this comes up and the camera flies in or whatever. And then does a little rotation. And then it zooms in even a little more. So here we go. So this is our little verse comp. Now, this is sort of trickery or another way to do it. It's not going to be seamless. The way to do it seamlessly really is like I just showed you by copying and pasting. But we can make another composition that's called like full video or whatever. And we can drag in our verse comp that we just made where it goes verse, verse, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll drag in our chorus comp that we made over here. Like that. And we can drag in this. This is just a little trick I'm doing where I'm going to drag this reveal in. And I'm going to change the time on it so it happens faster. And I'm going to turn it on to a matte channel. And I'm going to I'm just going to click on the chorus comp toggle switches track matte. I'm going to luma matte it so that you'll see it just kind of blends in like that. So that's sort of just like a different transition effect, but it's a way you could pull it off, or you could just, copy the chorus composition and just paste it in however you want, or link videos together by making different compositions. So it's not seamless, but it's still a cool effect, and I don't think anyone would really care. So that was a long one, but I hope you learned something. Hope this answered some of your questions. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them. And I'll make another video soon. Cheers.